Hello everyone, Segger back again. So it's 6 o'clock on a Friday. I should be, at home, or well, I am home still, but I should be watching a movie or something. However, due to my poor time management skills and other computer issues that I'm not going to mention, yeah, if you know how hard it is getting OpenJDK to work, specifically Motorola OpenJDK, especially on a non-domain computer. The Z-books we have are, not going to go into detail on that, but let's just say ended up getting it working, so now I can continue doing my work. So before me I have two boxes, and this is an MCC7500 console. Well, they both are, but you don't have both. You pick or choose one. So up top we have the Generation 1. This is the GPIOM, or General Purpose Input Output Module. Probably because, it has general purpose input outputs, and it's a module. And then on the bottom we have the Voice Processor module. Probably because it processes the voice. So let's quickly go over the differences between them, since I have both of them here, and I did order one of these recently. Thank you for the guys that the guys that pointed that out to me on eBay. Highly mislabeled, about to get junked, $250. Thank you for that, because I was not going to pay $6,000 for these. So yeah, I will make a video once mine comes in about the in-depths, but for right now we're going to go off of what we can see on the outside. So first off, let's start with the GPIOM. So starting from the front, let's turn this around. Starting from the front, we have a basic, it says Motorola. It's a nice, it's a box. You can, they look exactly like the Generation 1 MCC7500 modules. Well, I think this came out first. Yes, so this came out first. So the Generation 1 MCC7500 looks like this. On the bottom, nothing special. On the side, nothing special. Now let's go around to the back. So we have power. This is a MIDI connector, as some people would say. One of these suckers. I don't have the pinout for this. This isn't mine. This power supply, so I'm not going to start poking around on it. So we're just going to leave that be. I only touch stuff that's mine. So yeah, it's just a MIDI connector or DIN connector. The GPIOM requires 12 volt, 8.3 amps. Not bad. We have 8 on this P3 module, P3 section, and then 12 contacts on the P2. These are inputs and outputs. I forget which one's which. I really haven't messed with this at all, even powered it up, because I don't have one of those personally yet. And then we're going to come over here. We have the actual speakers and stuff. So right here we have 8 speaker ports. There we go, words. We have the gooseneck, foot switch, and then this is for external paging. So basically I can have an encoder that does the tones for me, like an old Zetron or anything along that like. We have 2 either redundant, or you can have 2 sources and stuff for long-term recording, or IRR. You choose for those what you want to use them for. I forget what this one is. I've never used it. I've never seen it used, so really I don't ever really care. Next we have, this is either LLR or long-term recording, or IRR, instant recall recorder. Basically same with these, except for these have an input as well. So, you can have stuff played back and have it come over your speakers, your headset, or whatever. Now here's a fun port. So that's a phone arbitration port. Basically, you can get it on our system use. Well, I don't know if I can say that. I'm not going to say it. Basically, we have boxes for service provider for 911, and we, on some consoles, positions around area, we have a cable that goes between service provider's box and our box. Basically, now the dispatcher can use their headset to answer 911 calls. It can pick up, receive, all that jazz. And, you can also have it vice versa, where they plug in on the service provider's box side, where they have a jack box instead of our jack boxes, and now they can hear radio audio and transmit radio audio on their box. So, nice little feature on that. We have our two headset connectors. These go to the Turtles. If you don't know what I'm talking about, look up Motorola MCC7500 headset box, and you'll see what I'm talking about. They're called Turtles, unofficially. We have our inputs and outputs, power connector. Then we have these. So with the Generation 1, the GPIOM, this is only half of what you need. I'm not going to disassemble and lug, the cards down, but basically there's 2 PCI cards you need. One at a minimum. One has another 3 FireWire ports on it. I don't know, I haven't found the manual for it yet, but I don't know if you need all 3 connected. I'm guessing probably. But basically one has the voice processing module, not the voice processing module, but the voice processing card. Does all your voice traffic, receives stuff from, the IP network, and then spits it out to this for inputs, outputs, etc. And then the second one is your encryption card, your AES, your various encryption algorithms. It's got, I forget if it's like a UCM or if it's a MACE type. I think it's a UCM era chip on there, so there's that. And then that handles your encryption. It talks to the voice processor card, because this, as far as this box has, it has no connection to any IP network at all, except for via these FireWire ports and out to the card. And then we just have some disk switches for FireWire ID. And then, of course, grounding. So that's the GPIOM. Now let's talk about the big boy. Alrighty, so asset tags covered because yes. So on the front we have Motorola, of course. On the top we have the big old Mother M's logo, all hail. Bottom, etc. Yeah, we replaced the backup battery on this as labeled. It's actually not that hard, except for you have to replace, you have to take out and put back in like half a dozen, actually. Think about, it's over a dozen. Yeah, it's let's see, 6 on that side, 6 on that side, 2, yeah, so just over a dozen. It's a lot of screws for no reason, but yep. Alright, let's take a look here. So, layout, you can kind of see, but now the power's all the way over here, and now it draws a staggering 12.5 amps at 12 volts. Yeah, that's a few. We have, of course, our 8 speaker outputs. And this has the same inputs and outputs as the GPIOM. They do the same functions, except 6, 7, and 8. 6, 7, and 8 now have relay contacts that you can set up in Provisioning Manager. There's some limitations to it, but how we have some of them set up is we have like those status light poles that you see on like industrial machinery, transmit, receive, emergency, and 911. Because you can get the 911 off hook information from there if you're using arbitration, or you can just go right to service provider's box. Now, instead of being stacked, we have Jackbox 1, Jackbox 2. We have this cooling port that goes right on top of the encryption card for whatever reason. I don't know. There is not a fan inside this at all. We have our health LEDs. Let's go ahead and do that. So we've got, on the inside, we've got a LEDs, and the red one's up here, but you just have green LEDs right there. That gives you kind of a status whether or not you actually have power. On the rear, we have power, key status, alarm, and then the health. You only see both these lit up at the same time during boot up. Otherwise, it's going to be you should, if all's going well, have a flashing green LED with no red. So there you go. So that tells you it's all good to go. It's still it's still booted up. It's all good to go. We're good. And we have the standard high-rose connector for talking with the mace. The quick key erase right here. And then we have Ethernet and T1 E1 lines. So this, unlike the GPIOM, has the encryption and has the voice processing built in. Don't need any PCI cards like this needed. Not PCI Express, PCI. 32-bit PCI. Like, it's old. I mean, this one's old as well. This one's from 2015, I think, is whenever the manufacturer in this date is. So, they're getting up in age. They've been they're getting replaced by the MCC7500 with the audio interface module, which no longer needs IP. It does software encryption, or you can get a cryptor box that does hardware encryption using a cryptor little slot thing. But even those are getting replaced now with the Axis. It's basically the computer plus this all in one box. It's about the size of this, a little bit thicker, of course, but it's about half the depth. Yeah. Well, it's getting the Axis is the same as the CC hub with a tweak. Yeah, basically same shit. So we have primary, secondary Ethernet, grounding. And that's about it with these. So how do you talk to these if you're getting them set up? So you're going to need one of these puppies. Say RJ45 to DB9 adapter. You can also make a USB version of that if you wish. This is what I use at least. And you just take a normal straight through, don't mind the massive ferrite bead on there. I have that on there because this used to be a, not a foot switch, a gooseneck connector cable. It's just a normal straight through Ethernet cable with a big ferrite on it. But yeah, that then goes into the foot switch pedal, because that's where you would guess you'd get your serial communications from. Yep, that's right, the foot switch pedal. So yeah, all you can do in the foot switch pedal is change the IP, host name. That's it. Can't do firmware updates, can't do any of that. So you only really need this and do the painful, for like 30 seconds. Then once you have it rebooted, you now know the you now know the host name and the. No, you can't even change the host name in there, I think. Shoot, I'll look at it in a bit, but I don't actually, now that I think about it, I don't think you can. I think you can do. You only have to do that through IP because it's in the code plug. But yeah, you basically just change the IP in there, reboot it, unplug this, and now you can talk to it through IP. Either directly plugged in, between the tech laptop and here, or over the actual network. Because we can, I can take, go on an NM client, a network management client, and talk over IP to any console in the network, just over IP. Firmware updates, config updates, everything. That's what's nice about these versus that. So then you go in there, you change the configuration, tell it hostname, DNS, radius, and then what actual MCC host computer you have to point it to, because they're paired. So if this is VPM, let's say 10.1.24.75, that would be op 2, position 2. So then that would go to 10.1.24, actually, did I say 24? But basically 10.1, whatever, 75 is this one's IP. That would go to 10.1 whatever 2, since it's op 2. So you have to directly link them in here. They communicate over the IP network as well. So, yeah, nice box. I don't think I'll ever get an MCC7500E, honestly, because yeah, so the 7500E, I don't have an AIM on me spare. Nor do I think I'm gonna have one. If I ever, have to take one for a spare or anything, I'll be sure to go over, do a quick overview of it, just because why not. All it is basically this, but USB, and like this big. Yeah, it's a real small box. It doesn't have quite as many speaker outputs. I think I haven't looked at one in like a while because they don't break as often. But yeah, they have 2 headsets, no excuse me, no encryption. And all you don't have speakers. That's right. So you don't have speakers, at least not these ones. And then these ports are stacked on top of them. So it's like shrinks it down to like this big. It's like a small little USB device. Because your speakers, on here they're analog, on here they're analog, on the AIM and CC hub they're USB, which is actually quite nice. They're like the giant freaking, like this big, they're humongous compared to these. But yeah, fun fact, the KFD Shield just came out with support for the keyload file for the 7500E if you do it through software. If you do it through hardware, that's just standard, through the high-rose connector on the crypter, and you can just use the normal shield for that. So yeah, there's a quick deal on those. My personal one, with its power supply, comes here on Friday. Not today, Friday, but obviously next Friday. So that'll be fun. Should have everything needed backhaul wise for that to work. Hopefully set up. I don't know. But yeah. On the bright side, I did break my Moto Bridge RGU, so we have to do recover on that. I might live stream it, might not, depending on if I can even get it to start talking in the first place. I don't know. We'll go from there. So yeah, stand by. Fun console things happening. From Wave 5000 to Astro. So have fun. See y'all.